I'm going to have a little look now at Minuet in G minor from the Anna Magdalena notebook, Bach. This piece was originally attributed to Bach, but has recently been proven to be by Christian Petzold, along with the other famous G major minuet, that isn't by Bach, it's by Petzold. I'm going to pretend now that I don't know this piece at all and that I'm starting it from scratch, because I want to give an idea about how we might begin a new piece little by little, using the principles of the 3 S's, which are slowly, separately, sections. Okay, let me play you a little bit of the minuet, G minor, the key of G minor. Okay, of course, in order for me to play it, I have to actually know it. So I'm coming out of character for a minute now, and I'll play you a bit of it. That's the first half. Let's work with that. Now, I'm going to pretend that I don't know much about music, that I'm about a grade 1, 2 level player, but I can read music, and I know that I'm in the key of G minor, and that I know that it goes to the key of B flat major there. So that's about the extent of my ability to play it. I wish I could play both hands together. The only way I could play both hands together is falteringly. This sort of thing, I can't, I've got to play 2 notes together there, okay, yeah, there. Do you notice how much time that takes? That takes a long time, and I've lost my pulse completely. And pulse is the number one key thing that we have to remember when we're learning and when we're practicing. Maintaining a regular pulse. Now, that pulse does not have to be the full speed pulse, it can be a slow practice pulse. But when we are practicing, we need to maintain the steady pulse. So I've already discovered that in order for me to learn this, I'm going to have to play separate hands to start with. So let me start. And what I'm going to do is to discipline myself really quite severely and play only 1 bar and 1 note. Now, why 1 note? Why not just stop at the end of the bar? Because it doesn't really link to anything. It just sits by itself at the end. Whereas if I went to the downbeat, I have a goal. I have a strong downbeat goal. So before I start, I establish my pulse and I count 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I have to remember to go to the 4th finger from 3. 3, 2, 1, 4. So there's a contraction in my hand there. Now, as I do that, I try and pick up as many cues about the design of the piece as I possibly can. So what do I notice about the design? I notice that I'm only dealing in crotchets, steady crotchets. I notice that the pattern descends from B flat, which is the 3rd of my scale, and winds up on the A. So I come down 3 notes and I go up 1 note. So I'm trying to find as much information as I can about what I'm playing. So I'm mindful of what I'm playing, not just twiddling fingers. That's really important, as we'll discover later. What I'm going to do now is to start where I finished. So I'm going to start on the A that I finished on. Again, let me count my 2 bars. 1, 2. Let me just shorten it by just doing 1 bar. 1, 2, 3. It's really important to fix that pulse. Here I notice, by way of design, that I'm coming down a 5th. There's a 5th. And then I go up a 4th. I really notice that. Down a 5th, up a 4th. Do you notice that I'm taking the small section 1 bar and I'm repeating it until it becomes embodied? Now, what do I mean by embodied? It starts off in my brain, and my brain is really firing on all cylinders here. So you play an A there with your 4th finger, now go down to a D. Okay, yes. Now play the D again with your 2nd finger, now go up to a G, fine. Now by repeating that tiny little fragment, it starts to become automated. So if I do it 3 times in a row, now I'm starting to notice my hand going there automatically, so I don't need to think so much. That's really important. If I chose to play too much information at once, let's say I tried to play 4 bars, I'd have forgotten bar 1 and bar 2 by the time I got to the end. Information overload. Tiny little fragment. Now I'm ready to link together bars 1 and bars 2. 1, 2, 3. Notice another bigger design, that the first note of each bar, B flat, here's an A, there's a G, so that there's my descending B flat, A, G across 3 bars. And I think what I'm going to do is to go over one more bar, just one more bar of right hand. So I'm starting on the note that I finished on. Notice I've got an interval of an octave, then I go up 5 notes in the key. That's fairly straightforward a pattern. Now I feel like I could quite comfortably play those first 4 bars. 1, 2, 3. Now if I want to, I could repeat that small section 3 times. Let's not do it now because you're going to get really bored if you hear me do that. But you could do that when you were practicing. Now I'm going to go down and have a look at the left hand that goes with that. And I notice it starts on a G in the tenor region. It starts with the 2nd finger. And it too descends 4 notes. Now I don't need to go bar by bar with this because there's only 1 note in each bar. So I could process the information across the whole phrase by just noticing the design, the descending design. G, F, E flat, D, and then, do you remember the right hand had an ascending 5-finger position? The left hand has a descending 5-finger position. So now I've got 4 bars of right hand, and 4 bars of left hand. Now ready to put them hands together. What I'm going to do is to go back to my bar by bar approach, 1 bar plus 1 note, and I'm going to do this really religiously. 1 bar, stop, and I'm going to repeat that 3 times. And I'm starting to notice it already becoming automated, so that by the 3rd repetition I am looking at my page, but I'm not really glued to it. I'm using it as an anchor for the general direction. Now, starting at bar 2, I'm going to start from bar 2. Make sure you've got the fingering written in, so you need to know which finger you're on. That's bar 2 to bar 3. Now I'm ready to do bars 1 and 2 together. With that, I'd repeat that probably 2 or 3 times. Now I'm going to start on bar 3 and go over the bar line to bar 4. 2, 3. I notice that I've got 2 Ds there. Anything you notice as you go along, have your antennae out. I'm happy with that. Just do it once more. Now I'm going to finish this little phrase and stop there. I'm happy now that I can play 1 bar and 1 note for the duration of the phrase. My next goal is to play 2 bars and 1 note. 1, 2, 3. Stop. And I stop religiously, by which I mean I make a commitment to stopping on that note. Even if I was right, I don't go on, because what I want to do is to get to that moment and feel that I can contain that small amount of information and then press Control Save to put that back into my mind for future reference. Now I play bar 3 to bar 4. Sorry, let me do that again. I meant bars 3 to bar 5. And I repeat repeat that as many times as necessary, usually only 3 times, don't do too many repetitions. Now I feel ready to play the 4-bar phrase. 1, 2, 3. Stop. That's quite a lot of concentration in that practice. What I'd next do would be to start from where I finished, the beginning of bar 5, and follow exactly the same procedure for the next 4 bars, right hand, left hand. 1 bar together, 2 bars together. And that will take quite a bit of time. So that's probably 1 practice session right there, just on those first 8 bars. Now, what a lot of people forget to do is they think they've done that once, that's enough. But what you do is the next day you'd come to the piano and do exactly the same process again, as though you had not touched it, as though you had not seen it. Right hand separately, left hand. Small sections, slow tempo. And what you'd find is if you did that daily for 3 or 4 days, you'd get to a point where you dug such firm foundations for your learning that you would be able to play that fluently and reliably, probably forever. Especially if you're learning this when you're a youngster, you can do that, then it'll be retained in your brain forever. And it's so much better and more reliable and more solid than the process that most people use to learn pieces, which is to constantly read them through and hope that they improve at the end of a practice session. What usually happens there, you get to a point where you're in a flow state, the playing does get better, and you feel, oh yes, I can play this now. Then you come to the piano the next day and it's as though you didn't know anything about the piece. You're back to 0 again. So this process that I've just shown you, the bar by bar plus 1 process, is rather time consuming but well worth it.